Hi, my name's Zoe and I'm the editor at Hitched.
I'm Nina and I'm a wedding consultant who specialises in on-the-day coordination and have 20 years of experience in events.
And we are here at the Zetter Townhouse in Clerkenwell and we are telling you what not to do when planning a wedding. And if you like what we have to say, make sure you like us, make sure you follow us, subscribe, give us glowing reviews, feed our egos with lovely comments, please. It all helps and we want to hear from you. And now we are at the end of this series. Sadly, some of you might be relieved, but you know,
if they got this far, they're here for it. It's okay.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. And we need to talk all things party. Let's go out with a bang.
Okay.
But before we can talk about the party, we talk about speeches. Oof. So do you
want me to do a whole episode on speeches?
Oh yeah, we will at some point. Okay. You know, I'm sure we will. There's a lot to say. But traditionally, you do the speeches after the meal, right? Are you team tradition or are you team pre-meal? Or what are your views?
I'm more towards tradition, but I'm not. Okay. So I know that speeches are a pressured thing. I know that not many people enjoy them. And I know that most people can't relax until they've done their speech. However, that is no excuse for making them go before the food. Okay.
Why?
Oh, there's so many reasons. Right, where do I start? First of all, the first reason they shouldn't go before the food is because people are hungry. If people are hungry, they're focused on that. So if you've done call to sit, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 o'clock, okay? We're going towards dinner time now, and we still haven't had a proper meal today. They're not going to care what you say or how you met or how long you've loved each other. They're not going to care about your childhood dog that jumped up and I don't know, whatever. Like, I've heard so many speeches, but they're not. They're just going to be thinking about their food, okay? I'm really sorry. I know that's controversial.
What if they've had a substantial canapé?
Okay, if they've had a substantial canapé and we really have got speeches that need to go before the food, then what I would say is that there can be one speech.
Oh.
One speech before the food. And I normally suggest that it's someone that you can rely on who has written their speech well in advance and we know how long it's going to be. And the reasons for that is because your food is ready to go at a certain time. And you've paid a lot of money for this food. And as we've discussed, people remember if they're hungry or bad food at a wedding or something along those lines. So all this food that you've tasted, you are happy with, you want all of your guests to experience is going to have to come out at that time. So if you have someone, and we normally say a parent because they're pretty good, they've been planning their speeches for a long while, to tell us how long the speech is going to be, then we can factor that in. What we don't want is someone who says, oh, yeah, it's about 10 minutes. No. No speech is about 10 minutes.
So are you suggesting, if we say we're talking about a reliable person, and maybe it's not the parent.
No, it doesn't have to be.
Maybe your dad's very unorganised or your mum or whatever, that you break out of the traditional order of speeches?
Yeah. Is that controversial?
Well, no, we're here to break traditions. I like it. But,
what not to do at your wedding is do not do a speech before your food unless you really have to. And if you are going to, then please make sure it's someone you can rely on to have critically timed their speech so you know exactly when your food can come out after that speech. And it's just one. So no one's heckling, no one's sitting there drinking still on an empty-ish stomach because we've had substantial canapés by this point. So it reduces the amount of heckling and that way everyone can eat their meal, relax, sit back, enjoy the speech that you're about to go into, knowing that they're going to have a great dessert after that speech. So, and that's what I like to do then, between mains and dessert.
And can I say, I don't really know anything definitively. Like, you know, let's not, neither of what we say is gospel and it has to be followed. No. Take it with a pinch of salt, do what you want anyway. But one thing I have been told definitively not to do at a wedding, and I can say this with some degree of confidence because I got a lot of DMs about it, is that you must not have a speech between each course.
Okay, I'm going to push back on that one.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah, sorry, babes.
You want to see my DMs?
No. There's a caveat to it.
Okay.
It depends on the type of food that you're having.
Okay.
Type of cuisine.
See, I felt very confident here and you just shot me down.
I just shot you, I'm so sorry. It depends on the cuisine and it depends on the caterer. So, for example, Jewish weddings, they're really used to having dancing and speeches in between each course. That's tradition.
Yeah.
That tradition works and the caterer that's serving that will be used to it and will be able to accommodate it. So that's my pushback.
Okay, we can add a little addendum to my...
little addendum on that one.
Yeah.
But if we're in a hotel and it's packaged, they might not be used to doing speeches in between courses. They might not be used to that. And therefore, yes, I 100% agree with you. Please do not do speeches in between each course. Always have the starters and mains at least go out together, because then the chef gains control over his timings. He knows what's happening. The front of house can keep control over their staff and clearing and everything else. It's a well-oiled machine and it works. So allow it to work. Don't try and break it, with my caveat. So that's the caveat on that one. But there's a lot to be said about speeches and when to do them and who to do them. And you can break whatever order you want. You can put whoever you want up there. But the one thing I would say, when you're kind of heading kind of the 4 or 5 people, I'm not just talking about like, okay, well, my best men are doing a speech and they're doing a joint one. No, that's still 2 people with 2 sets of funny stories, 2 things they want to embarrass you about. That's 2 speeches. Like the amount of people that are talking, just then flip that back and think, if I was a guest at this wedding and I was on person number 7, am I still here for it?
There's probably people listening to us right now.
I know, right? What not to do at your wedding is have too many people talking.
All at the same time as well.
Yeah, because it's all the same subject, right?
Yeah.
It's you two. And we love you. We're here for you. We want to celebrate you and your wedding day. And we want to hear the funny things. We want to hear snippets. We want to enjoy those things. But what we don't need is a full life history of everything that you've done. From multiple angles.
With your edits as well, I think, if you're giving a speech. Yeah. And on that, I would say, as somebody who spent my whole life wanting to give a speech, because I like to talk, I gave one last year, and I think I learned a lot in doing it. And I would say, you don't want to rehearse it. Like, you're not standing up and quoting it like it's a play, because that will sound dry and insincere and it won't work. But you should read it a few times, I think. What I used to do when I was driving long distance is just say my speech as though I was saying it ad hoc. Yeah. And that made me feel like when I was giving that speech, that it was natural and it was conversational. And I did have a piece of paper. I'm really sorry I didn't back the piece of paper. I did have a piece of paper, but it was better than holding a phone, because I think a lot of people don't like... I know you have thoughts on this.
Oh, we're really segregating, but yeah.
I think that you don't really want to be holding a phone and looking at a phone. I don't like that myself. But I think I had a piece of paper which I didn't back, and I'm sorry, and I wish I had, and I was going to back it with embarrassing pictures of my sister.
That's good.
There was a lot of time, and I didn't. But I'm getting off off here. But I did. I read it in my car as I was driving. I knew what I wanted to say in my head. I had my talking points, and I talked through it as I drove around. And that meant that when I gave the speech, it did feel more natural. It felt more conversational. I didn't have to keep looking at the paper, which I had as emotional support paper in case I needed it. But I felt confident that I knew what I was going to say and that it would sound natural. And that, I think, is the key. It's not you've got to learn Hamlet's monologue to give in your GCSE drama.
I think it's about being comfortable with what you're saying as well. And also, try not to be shocking and controversial for the sake of it. It never lands well. Oh, I've heard some speeches. I've heard so many speeches. I've seen people walk out the room crying and not in a good way.
That's not what not to do.
What not to do at a wedding. Make people cry that their
in
daughter has married you. That happened. So...
Yeah, that's a big one not to do.
Yeah, it was bad. So don't be controversial and shocking for the sake of it, just to get a few laughs. Be respectful to what's going on around you. I think that's really, really important with your speeches. You've touched on a couple of things there, though, that I want to just rewind to. One is back your speeches. Now, it's quite hard because people are using different things for writing their speeches, and they have different ways of delivering them and things like that. But if possible, give them a piece of A4 coloured card that's in the same colour as the rest of your stationery on the day, and get them to stick the paper to that. Done. It's just a little bit neater and nicer than all this paper flapping around. Also do that for any readings or anything you have during your ceremony. Or get your stationer to print them. Something along those lines. Just a little bit neater. It's one of those tiny things that...
Just makes a difference in the photos.
It does make a difference. The other thing is not using your phone. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. One is that sometimes people do presentations and things like that, so they will be needing their phone for that.
That's okay, that's fine.
Okay, good. We're allowing that one. I'm anti-presentations. IT on the day, no matter how many times you practice, set it up in the morning, it doesn't go well. the other thing is I had this brilliant thing which touched on what you spoke about embarrassing photos of your sister. Okay. Someone during his best man speech, rather than printing out pages, he asked everyone to set their AirDrop settings to everybody, and then he then shared the embarrassing photo of the groom via AirDrop, and it worked. It was brilliant. Everyone was in this. Also, the photo was terrible, but like everyone was in hysterics, and everyone's got this photo now to keep on their phones. And like even if someone didn't have AirDrop, then they were near someone on the table that did. And it really, really worked. But the one thing with that I will say is that as staff, I then turned my phone on so everyone could send me something. So I now have that photo of the groom as well, because obviously, and all the bar staff and everyone was like, what's this photo? Just saying. But the technology can work in your favour.
I see that.
And having your phone can work.
In the notes app, when you keep, especially if you're not confident in giving it and you've got to keep looking down at your phone, it's just,
that's true.
For me, not a great look. But, you know, each to their own.
Each to their own on that one.
And if you're going to AirDrop embarrassing photos, that's fine. Let it slide.
But also some people had, like, I've had one person who was a singer, and he had his speech on an iPad, and he put that on an iPad stand, and it all looked very professional. So I think it varies. But yeah, so with speeches, there's lots of caveats. There's lots of things that you can just think about with it, but plan it. If you are a bit tight on time, you know what? Say to people, don't say to people, you've got 10 minutes for the speech. Say to them, you've got 7.5 minutes for the speech.
Yeah.
You're actually guaranteed.
Lie.
Don't just say it'll be
your
quick.
Parents.
What not to do at your wedding.
Tell the truth. I think that's a good idea. I do that in my day-to-day life, to be honest with you, to get through things, tell people it's earlier than it is, or
that's
later,
exactly
or
it. So tell them it's a weird random time that they've got for their speech, and then you've got some hope of getting it in that time as well.
Yeah, because people will always run over, and then you've got to pause for all the laughs, all the applause.
Yeah, honestly, and everyone's like, oh no, but they're not good at speaking, they don't like it, and oh, he's really nervous, his speech won't be long, and she's not great at talking, it'll be fine, and I've spoken to them all, they're all going to be really quick. Doesn't work. Everyone puts in effort.
And so, also, I think on the topic of being nervous, because, you know, a lot of people are nervous. Well, what I like to tell people is that everyone in that room is there for you. Like, even if it's not your wedding, you're giving the speech, they're still there for you. Like, they are there. They want to cheer you on. They don't want you to mess up. They are there to enjoy whatever it is you're going to say. They're not judging. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's the best crowd you're ever going to give a speech to in your life. It'll never get better. So, don't be nervous.
That's really true. And also, what not to do at your wedding, stick to the traditions.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
In terms of speeches. So, don't feel like that you've got to do father of the bride, groom, best man.
Do you know what? I thought about this for a long time, because I did used to think, speeches, get rid of them. No, actually, I love speeches. I take that back, because they are so brilliant. And we don't enough, especially as Brits, I think, open up about how we feel about people.
Yeah, that's so
we
true.
We don't talk enough about what people mean to you. And a wedding is the only time we really do that in adulthood. Yeah. When you're a kid, everyone tells you you're great all the time, right?
Yeah.
You know, I had that for sure. But no, as an adult, you don't get that. So actually to have the opportunity for the people who mean the most to you to stand up and tell you what's great about you, why they love you, what it is about you that is special to them. You know, I don't want to go off on and I'll start weeping, but I think it's really emotional, it's really lovely, and you shouldn't skip the speeches, but you should make sure the people giving the speeches are the people you actually want to hear from. And the way I suggest doing that is pretending that you've never even heard of the tradition of wedding speeches.
Yeah.
And you've just been told, you need 3-4 people to speak about you at your wedding. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, no, it's a really good thing to do. And I think just making sure that it's kind of equal for both sides as well.
Yeah. And speak up, ladies.
Yes. Oh my God. I think it's really nice now. I very rarely do a wedding now without the bride speaking up, or a maid of honour, or somebody.
The mum.
Somebody.
Women are
I had grandmas.
Funny.
Grandmas doing speeches. Oh my, it was the best. Best. Grandma doing speech was the best. So yeah, I think make sure it's equal, make sure it's like who you want to represent. You have people to learn nice things about you on the day as well.
Who you want to hear from. Yeah. And I do think that, it's taken way too long to have women giving speeches, and we need more.
We like to talk. Why did we not do it at our weddings? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, speeches.
We've done speeches. So we should touch a little bit on the table plan as well, because it ties in a bit here with the setting, you know, table plan. So sometimes people ask me, and this is probably going to make you come out in hives. Sometimes people ask me, do I really need a table plan? People ask this.
Okay, yes. What not to do at your wedding? Not have a table plan? Like, what? No, you have to have one. That's not even you're blowing my mind. No, Zoe. Right, okay.
So it wasn't me.
It's all your fault. Okay, so let's think about this. People are walking into a room. If there's no table plan. Oh,
we've got school lunch vibes.
Oh my God, I've got school lunch vibes. I've got cliques. I've got a table for 10, but there's 12 in my family. Where's the vegetarian sitting? Where's the celiac sitting? Where's the gluten-free sitting? Where's
Someone's
the vegan
got a peanut
sitting?
allergy.
Someone's got a peanut allergy? Okay, right. No. Right. Who's pregnant? Like, they can't have the starters. What you have to have. Okay, so I had this once. No matter what I said to this couple, they were adamant they were not going to have a table plan. I was like, okay.
Did anyone die?
Well, the best man got a telling off.
Oh.
A very severe telling off from the groom. He got a penalty. He got a telling off because obviously the couple entered after everybody. They had their intro, which is brilliant. I love that moment. But everyone was sitting down. And the only spaces left were next to the kids.
Oh.
And honestly, so once they'd done the intro and they sat down and everything, he came over and I was standing there and he absolutely laid into the best man and was like, why didn't you save us 2 seats? And he was like, oh, I didn't know, mate. I thought we could just sit wherever we wanted.
Was he briefed?
No.
And there was no
because
table
guess
plan.
what? They said there was no seating plan, there was no table plan, so they could sit wherever they wanted. And honestly, they ended up sitting
fault.
with the kids. So that's one thing is, you know, people like to know where they're going on a wedding. They like to be told what to do. They like to think, right, okay, at 2 o'clock, this is happening. At 3 o'clock, this is happening. Fine, I can set my expectations. Going back to what we said many moons ago about setting expectations. Guests like it.
We are just adult babies and we just want a routine.
We just want to be fed and watered, don't we, really, on a wedding day?
When and where.
That's it. So, and entertained, literally.
We are adult babies.
So I think it's really important that you have a table plan. If you're really adverse to it, okay, and you're really like, no, I really don't want it, the compromise is to have, right, well, we're going to have all of my mum's side of the family, we're all going to be on this table, but I don't mind where on that table they're going to sit. Okay,
yeah.
So
they choose the seats, but you've chosen the table.
Exactly, because then you know they fit.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want is like all your uni friends coming and they don't all fit together.
Yeah.
So then you've got 2 people possibly left over or 1 person left over and they're now ended up sitting on the table with all your cousins and they don't know anybody on there.
Well, I was about to ask you a question about this. Maybe you've just answered it. Are you a fan of mixing people up so they can get to know each other? No.
But I think this is a very personal one.
It is.
It's a really personal one. But I think you are normally sitting down for around 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on speeches and things like that, right? You potentially haven't seen a lot of your family or the friends that you're going with for a very long time. And it's a brilliant chance for you to catch up and get to know what they're up to in their lives and all of these kind of things. So don't go and sit me with a random friend you think I'm going to get on with.
Can I say, as Zoe Burke, independent person, and not affiliated with Hitched on this view, because, I mean, I don't think it's particularly controversial, but all the same, I just want to say my own personal view, when I go to a wedding, is I don't want to make new friends.
No.
I've got enough friends, and I'm never going to see them again. I know it, and I'm disappointed, because sometimes I go and I think, oh, they're going, they're good fun, that's so great, I'll get to see them, and then I see them sat at a different table, and I know they're great fun, and they're making all their new friends on that table laugh, and I'm there with Janet and Steve, who've come from Skegness. I don't know, nothing against Skegness, but I'm never going to go there. It's quite far away from me. I'm not going to go hang out with them again.
Yeah.
And I feel disappointed. And I'm sure Janet and Steve are lovely. And I'm glad to hear their daughter's liking uni and that their son is really good at woodwork. But I'd rather be with my friends.
100% agree.
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, it's how I feel. And also kids' tables. What are your views on those? Because I had to sit on one once.
What?
I mean,
as an adult?
Well, I was 18, on the cusp, but, you know, I was an adult, I wasn't an adult.
I think if you're 18, you're not sitting on the kid table anymore. I think the cut off at like 14, 15.
And I remember one child was like, why do your nails look like that? That's what it's called, fashion. But I'm a bit scarred from that.
Okay, well, I can see. I can tell she had some therapy after this.
I don't like kids' tables. Sit the kids with their grown-ups.
Right. So kids' tables are a terrible idea because there's no one controlling what they're doing. And there's no one making sure that they've eaten. There's no one making sure that they've cut their food. All they're doing is getting up and down and going back to mum and dad. So make life easier for mum and dad is not by putting them on a kids' table.
Sit Janet and Steve with their kids. Sit me with my friends.
Absolutely. I really feel for Janet and Steve right now, by the way.
I'm sorry, they're nice, but we're just not going to be friends. We move in different circles.
It's so true. And I think it's really important that you are thinking about your guest experience. I think we've moved away from the big tradition of male, female sitting around a table. We don't even need to talk about that anymore. But I do think we need to sort of think about actually your guest experience and what they're going to enjoy. Now, doesn't mean everyone's going to fit around a table. You're going to have some tables where you mix them up. Get that, and you do have to think about who's going to be on that table, but you can still make sure that everyone feels involved and that they're not completely isolated from the people they would normally be. So if you've got a mixed table, then mix up the other table too. So there's a fair spread.
Can I say I'm going back to Hitched now? I'm no longer an independent person with my own thoughts and feelings. We have a table planner tool at Hitched, and it's really helpful. It's linked to your RSVPs, so immediately it's populated with who's RSVP to your wedding, really good, and you can drop and drag people to tables and move them around.
A lot of my couples send me their table plans and they are Hitched.
Yeah, I will say very genuinely that is a very good thing to use. Yes.
No, it is. It does work. And I think that's the thing. There are tools out there. Some people like paper and pen and Post-it notes that you can move the tabs around and stick them on and things like that.
It's more environmentally friendly to
people
use
like,
the table app.
Yeah, and people like apps and they like going onto websites and putting it all in and it works, but spend the time to do that. But please, 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 for your caterer's sake, for your coordinator's sake, for your guest's sake,
my sake,
for Zoe's sake and for Janet and Steve's sake, please have a table plan.
Please. I think we've exhausted the table plan, haven't we? So you've got to have one. What not to do at your wedding? Do not have a table plan.
Always have a table plan at your wedding.
God, we've really done ourselves over with this name. Yeah. It's very tricky. Double negatives are what we're dealing in here. But yeah, so you've got your seats at your tables. Maybe you've heard the speeches. Maybe you haven't. I can't even remember where we landed on that one. But favours.
You may have heard one speech.
One speech only. Favours.
Oh.
I love a favour.
You do?
I do love a favour.
Oh, okay, now let's have an argument.
I love favours. I love trinkets. I love surprises. I love Kinder eggs, I
do love Kinder eggs.
Yeah, and what is that if not a favour? So, yeah, I like favours.
A child's favour?
I am an adult baby. We've touched on this. But yeah, I like favours. I do.
Okay.
What are we doing about them?
We are potentially not having them much these days.
Not even a Kinder egg?
Not even a Kinder egg, babe. I'm sorry. Okay, so favours, I think they are slowly dying a little bit of a death.
Okay.
They're not very popular these days. They are seen as a bit of a waste of money.
Interesting. There are lots of ways you can do them, right?
Yes. There are lots of favours that you can do.
I've worked with a lot of very creative favour suppliers who make things. You can get, you told me before about scratch cards, and you can put them in cool little wallets for people.
So here's my top tips on scratch cards. No, on favours. My top tips on favours are that you should either make sure that they fit in a lady's clutch bag or a gentleman's pocket. Okay.
I once went to a wedding where someone left a packet of ham for one guest. It fitted perfectly in his suit pocket.
Wow. What kind of weddings do you go to? So with Janet and Steve. I feel like Janet and Steve should have featured earlier on in this podcast series. So they should be edible. That was the other thing. Right, okay. So either that they're edible.
Sorry, but it did happen.
Okay, so either that they are edible, like ham.
But probably don't, because ham's not for everyone.
I think it'll go off as well. It's not in the fridge.
It's
out on the
summer day.
Yeah, it's not nice. So they've either got to fit into a lady's clutch, gentleman's pocket, or be edible, or drinkable.
Yes.
Then they'll go, right? So there are some beautiful favours out there, really beautiful. But if they can't be picked up at the point that they're going to move on to the evening entertainment and put into their bag, put in the pocket or something like that. Like
we're talking matches, we're talking like those cute little perfect match mints. Mints, not mince meat. Okay,
so that's where my scratch card idea comes in. So a scratch card is the one thing that you can absolutely guarantee everyone is going to sit there and do their scratch card, right?
And if you won the money, would you split it with the couple or
right,
keep it for yourself?
that's the controversial bit. First of all, if you are going to give scratch cards and favours, please make sure that they're at an amount that you would be happy with someone winning and taking all of it. Because you're gifting that scratch card to them, that's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it. So I've seen them for people giving out for 50,000, 11,000, it varies. So scratch cards are great. They will go. And if you can get nice covers for them and things so they can match your decor, they don't have to kind of just look very scratch cardy. So that's a really good one because that will absolutely go. Everyone will do it. It won't be left behind. I think if you go bigger and do anything else, you've got to be prepared that you're either going to have to be giving them out as Christmas presents again or you're going to have to send them back. They're not going to go.
So you can get small soaps, mints.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Seeds is really popular.
Seeds, yes, people love that. Really, and it's a lasting memory.
Yeah, really
Plant
nice.
it in the garden.
Yeah.
Not like the ham. That goes off. But yeah, seeds, lovely. And we've, I'm trying to think what else I've seen because I see so many. We've got so many.
There's things that don't work that still look beautiful as well. So what I wouldn't do at your wedding is things like, cactus.
Yes, hard to transport home.
Oh, so hard, especially when you're drunk. You're going to prick yourself.
Yes.
On that. It's not going to be pretty. So think about that. It doesn't work. Candles, big, beautiful candles. Oh my God. I want to take it home when I sit down at my table and I'm a bit more sober than I am at midnight. But come midnight,
it's gone.
You've
forgotten.
I'm on flip-flops around my neck and I don't know what I'm doing.
Your flip-flops around your neck? Yeah. It could be. Yeah, it's... So yeah, I think... Also, we talked in a previous episode as well about entertainment and how that can double up as a favour too, can't it?
Yeah.
So
you can definitely do that.
People doing caricature, silhouettes, things like that. And you can,
really well.
make sort of a savvy investment there, really, can't you? Yeah,
exactly that.
And it saves room on your tables.
It does, definitely. And when you're doing your favours, do think about your place settings. It's important. If you have it, if it's quite important to you how that looks.
Do you know
think
what?
About what it fits.
I went to a wedding once as well where we got little mini Lego figures that were done to look like us. That was really cute.
That's cute.
Got mine.
Fits in the pocket. You've still got it
and it was years ago because it was cute and it was small and it was personal and it was nice
and it fitted in your bag.
I've had personalised beer mats. That was quite cool.
Yeah,
coasters.
They work really, really nicely. So there's lots of ideas for favours. But going back to your place setting and thinking about what fits on your table is also really, really important. Okay, so here's what not to do at your wedding when it comes to food.
Okay,
and
yes,
decor.
Food, yes.
What not to do at your wedding is to overload your table if you're having a sharing, family, feasting,
grazing,
food. No. Okay, you have to keep it really simple and you have to make sure that the width of your table fits on everything that you want on the table.
No fish bowls if you've got a grazing platter coming down.
No, do people still have fish bowls?
I was at the Savoy the other day and they had fish bowls, so maybe they're coming back.
Oh, maybe.
But yeah,
no. Savoy can have them, then I could definitely have them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, room on the table.
Room on the table.
And we're thinking as well, are we still doing 3-course meals? Are people? I think people are getting more creative with their wedding food.
I definitely think there's more creativity going on with the food. I think 3 courses is still lovely, especially if you've got kind of some fussy eaters. They might not eat bits of it, but they eat some of it, that kind of thing. So that's good. But I don't think you should feel any pressure. What you want to do is you want to hit that really nice balance that people feel fed. They feel full, they're not getting too drunk, but they don't feel sluggish.
Yes, because I always do this. I'm like, oh my God.
It's the mixture though of day drinking.
Yep.
Eat all your food.
Dinner at 4 p.m.
Tastes wonderful.
By 6 p.m, I'm slumped in the corner. I know I never learn every time. I'm always like, this time I'm going to pace myself.
I know, right?
No.
So that brings me on to another one. If you're having tea and your coffee at your wedding, please have enough for everybody because more people will drink tea and coffee at your wedding than they do normally.
Do not skimp on the tea and coffee at your wedding. That's so interesting because I never drink coffee at a wedding.
Okay, it really varies. It really varies. So we just talked about being sluggish and feeling sluggish.
I'm not the universal wedding guest though.
But you'll find that there's pregnant people, there's people driving, there's people who actually have eaten too much, drunk too much, something like that, and they need a bit of a pick-me-up. And so they'll be having tea and coffee at a time that they wouldn't necessarily be having tea and coffee otherwise.
Yeah.
There might be a bit of a lull between, the room might need changing around or something between your meal and your entertainment, at which point actually just sitting around and have a cup of tea with your friends is quite nice before you get back on it. Like, who knows? So I think... just think about having tea and coffee. It's a bit of a one where everyone's like, no, we don't need it, we do have it. But if you are going to have it, don't just have a small portion.
Yeah. Over cater.
Yeah.
Yeah, overestimate because, it's not the most expensive bit of your day, is it?
No, it's not. You don't have to cater for everybody, but you do have to cater for the majority.
More than you think. Yeah. And onto that, we could talk a little bit about evening food.
Okay.
Because I think we're in the arena of food.
Food is good. It is my...
Do you remember when it used to be bacon baps and oven chips?
I do, yeah.
Chunky chips time.
Yeah.
That. We've come a long way.
We've come a very long way. My favourite evening food. Mm-hmm. Favourite. Absolute favourite. Cheese toasties.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my God. They go down so well. There's one particular food truck. I absolutely love them. They do this rosemary butter with the best cheese, and it is honestly just so good. Everyone loves a cheese toasty in the evening.
I would love that. I would like that right now.
They do different ones. They do like a chicken fajita cheese toasty and all the... Anyway, right. So
next podcast episode coming to you from the cheese toasty van.
Literally good. So yeah, think about your evening food. It is important, depending on the time that your meal has finished.
Yes.
As to whether you have it or not. Again, I say to cater for about 75% of your overall number of guests. You don't have to cater for everybody. Same with tea and coffee, but just think about kind of what's really going to hit the spot. I always say with evening food that if it smells good, has melted cheese on, you're probably onto a winner.
Yes.
If it's cold food, okay, here's a controversial one. What not to do at your wedding? Have a cold evening buffet.
I don't think I've ever been to a wedding with a cold evening buffet.
Oh, I have. And the only reason I was standing there eating it was because I was a bit bored. But nobody who knows me asked me which wedding that was. I would say that if you have a cold evening buffet, then people don't know it's there. They can't smell it.
You have a cold heart.
You have a cold heart. But I would say that one literally, like, it won't get touched. It will go to waste, and you'll find that you'll be annoyed with it.
People want junk food, don't they? They want drunk food, junk food,
Yeah.
Pizzas.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Oh, I love a good pizza in the evening. Tacos or things
good.
like that.
Something smells good. People want it. Good hot food.
Yes.
Okay.
I am in agreement with that.
Good.
That one's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you can also, there's lots of different food trucks you can have come up because maybe your venue doesn't do that, but they'll let you have caterers come in, and that's a good way to kind of mix things up as well. Absolutely. And you might have a favourite food that perhaps doesn't lend itself.
It's a really good way.
Yeah.
And also with fusion weddings as well. So it's a good way of fusing like different tastes.
Yeah, really good idea. Yeah, I'm all about the food. And we need to talk about the evening party because...
Okay, we're going to talk about this really quick.
Yeah.
Talk about the evening party is that...
What do we need to do? We need to think about your first dance. What's coming next? You've done the first dance. What song do you have queued up?
It's really important.
Really
oh my God. So the second
song.
So you might do your first dance and then go straight into the party. Please think about the second song. The second song sets the vibe for the rest of the night. Don't bring it down.
Yes.
Okay, so you might do, traditionally, some people still do the father of the bride, daughter dance after the first dance. Great.
That's
so then think about
back,
Yeah, definitely. And you know what else is coming back? Choreographed first dances.
Yes.
Oh my God, nearly every wedding at the moment, I'm having choreographed first dance, and I am loving it. It's so much better.
People want to go viral on TikTok.
They do, and they are. So think about the third song in that case.
Yes.
But the song that starts everything off is so important.
Keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
Don't let it drop. Yeah.
Keep that
hard
vibe
to
going.
recover.
It's really important.
Your band and DJ will know how to do that.
Yeah.
But if you say, this comes back to what we said in a previous episode about giving them a list of what to play.
Yeah.
Like, trust them. Let them read the room. Yeah. Let them keep the vibes building.
Yeah, exactly that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we need to talk as well about how you're going to be introduced.
Yeah, so this one is just a little thing just to kind of point out is that you really need to tell your suppliers if you're changing your name or if you're not changing your name and how you do want to be referred to.
Both doing it,
exactly.
One of you is, the other, yeah.
There's
a fly. You need to bracket bomber it.
So think about that. Think about how you're being introduced and just let people know.
Yeah, because I think traditionally people assume... it's going to be Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for example, but maybe you are Mr. and Mrs. Smith-Jones now, or maybe you're becoming the Smones, or maybe,
Oh, I'm here for the Smones.
Yeah, or like maybe your favourite thing to do is go on a cruise, so you've decided to change your last name to Cruise. Like, do what you want, but just make sure people know, because they will make an assumption.
Yeah, I think, and also one thing on that is if you are changing your name, or both of you are changing your names and you are changing it completely and things like that, just have that conversation with family as well.
Yes.
And just make sure that everyone's in the loop.
Yes, because, people will write your cards to
Yeah.
Married name. And it may not be the case. And maybe if that doesn't bother you, it's not a problem. But if it's the kind of thing that will bother you, then yeah, make sure you clear it up. And I think maybe we've told people exactly what not to do at their wedding from start to finish.
Pretty much.
There's
lots more that I could say.
There's lots more, and there's lots more topics I don't think we've touched.
Things we haven't spoken about, like
so
flowers, what to do with your flowers and when to use them, your cake, what not to do with your cake. There's lots to talk about.
We'll have to have a new series.
Maybe.
Hopefully, if you guys like, follow, subscribe, leave those really positive, glowing comments that feed our egos, as I mentioned, because we thrive off the attention. And yeah,
She's speaking for herself right now, just so we're all clear.
In the meantime, while this has gone from your life and it's sad and lonely, you can head over to hitch.co.uk and still continue to plan with us, because we will be there waiting for you. Thank you so much.